Hey guys, Dave here again, back at my workshop for another series or another video in my series on just general commentary on society and what I think of the state of things today, masculinity, that sort of thing. So today I'm back out here, and what I want to talk about was why should you carry a pocket knife? Kind of maybe a strange question. But I think it's something worth looking at. I have carried a pocket knife since I was a kid, as long as I was in a permissive environment, where it wasn't forbidden. Almost every waking moment of my life. I basically feel less stressed without a pocket knife than if I'm missing my eyeglasses, and I'm pretty darn blind. So if I'm without a pocket knife, I really do feel naked. And so over the years, I've carried a number of different pocket knives, and so I've got my thoughts on the kinds that I like, which may work for you. You may have different opinion. I'm expecting plenty of people too. It's what makes a horse race. But why carry a pocket knife? Why bother? Why do I feel so naked without one? And really, if you think about it, what separates man from the beasts for the most part is the use of technology. And one of the most elementary tools since the dawn of time has been the knife. And it could be used as a weapon, sure, but primarily it's a tool for most people in modern society. It's basically a tool. You know, things need to be cut, things need to be opened, whatever. And one of the things, sort of an interesting metaphor about the difference between tool users and non-tool users comes from the book The Time Machine by H.G. Wells, which if you haven't read it, and you don't mind a little bit, dealing with some late 19th century English, it's it's a really cool story. It's been made into movies a couple of times. There was one sometime in the last, I don't know, 15, 20 years. I didn't really care for it. There was one from the 50s. I liked that one a lot better. But the time traveler in that book goes forward, I forget how many thousands or hundreds of thousands or millions of years into the future, and by that point, man has evolved into essentially two separate species. There were the Eloi and the Morlocks, and in this story, the Eloi are these very placid, pretty much sheep-like people, very non-technological. On the other side, you've got the Morlocks, who were very technological, but they were the bad guys, and don't want to give too much away about the story, but they eat the Morlocks. And of course, somewhere in between those, you have the time traveler himself, and he's somebody who's not going to go about engaging in cannibalism, but at the same time, he's also a tool user. And it's very interesting because I live and work in southeastern Pennsylvania, split most of my time between the suburbs, and occasionally I do need to go down to Philadelphia. And I find that it's relatively unusual in a corporate environment to carry a pocket knife. And there is definitely a sense among some people who, if you go forward 10,000 years from now, their descendants are probably going to be Eloi, that, a knife is just a weapon. Why would you need to carry that? And, I can't tell you how many times I've been asked while I'm opening up a box or a package for somebody with the knife that I just pulled out of my pocket, why are you carrying a knife? People look at me like I'm, aghast. Or they look at me aghast and you're like, wow, that's really alien. And I'm like, it's a pocket knife. It's a tool. I just happen to have it on me. a lot of guys nowadays, especially if they're in IT, for example, they'll carry something like a multi-tool. Me personally, I keep one in my bag, my laptop bag. I don't carry it around with me all the time. I just don't find it comfortable to have something like that on my belt all the time. I guess I could get used to it, but I don't really need to, so I don't. On the other hand, I do carry a small knife, but it's really it's kind of it's weird. It leaves me scratching my head. It's the same kind of thing where it's almost akin to, why would you have a fire extinguisher in your kitchen? Are you expecting to have a fire? No, it's just, hey, it's better to have it and not need it than not have it and really need it. So that being said, I did want to go over a few different pocket knife choices that are out there. And one actually that I didn't bring out with me to my workshop today was a modern one-handed tactical folder. I didn't even really think to open it, because again, I think of a knife not so much as a weapon, but as a tool. The first knife that I ever had, that I carried for a few years, was actually this one. It's pretty amazing that I didn't lose it, because this was given to me when I was maybe 8 years old, and you know how responsible or irresponsible 8-year-old boys can be. But this is just it's a Barlow knife made by Imperial, and it's got the finest plastic handles and stamped steel bolsters. It's got 2 blades, just a simple clip point blade made out of carbon steel, and then a penknife blade. Of course, nobody ever really needs to sharpen a quill pen anymore, but there it is. And so this was actually the first knife that I ever had. My father gave this to me, again, I'm not certain, it was probably around the age of 8, maybe 9. And I carried this for quite a few years, and misplaced it for a long time, and then found it again, and then it's like, I put this in, I've got a cigar box that I keep part of my knife collection or accumulation in, and so I keep it in there most of the time. But it's it's good. It's a slip joint, and I'll get into the whole slip joint versus lockback type knives a little bit later. The next knife I got was an Imperial Camp King Boy Scout type knife. That one I did manage to lose, so I have no idea where that's at, and so I can't show you that. But back around 1981 or so, I saved up the princely sum of about $13, and I bought the first knife I ever purchased with my own money, and that was this one. This, trying to get it so that the light doesn't reflect off of it too bad, but this is a Victorinox Pioneer Swiss Army knife, and at the time this was the actual knife that they issued to Swiss soldiers. It was either this one or it might have just been missing the key ring on it. But this, let me get a little closer so you can see a little better. It's got a simple spear point blade, and then it's got this blade, which is a screwdriver, a cap lifter, and then this notch. I'm not sure if you can really see that. Yeah, it looks like it should show up. That notch is supposed to help you with stripping insulation off wires. And then it's also got this blade, which is a can opener, and it actually works quite well, with a very small flat screwdriver tip on it, which is actually intended for like number 2 Phillips heads. And then the last tool on it, which is actually one of my most favorite, is the reamer or the awl. And this thing got a lot of use over the years. It's great for punching holes in metal or cardboard or wood. You can use it to actually like drill holes in things. It makes a very, very good scraper. if you want to start a fire with a ferrocerium rod, you really can't beat this thing. I mean, it's like you got a nice handle that you can grip, and then it's got a sharp edge on it. Not so sharp anymore because I used the heck out of it, and you could just really just rip off just massive gobs of sparks. And so, as you can see, this particular one, it's got a lot of wear on it. It's got the aluminum, or what they call ALOX or ALOX scales, and you know, I carried this thing for years, and it was, you know, it was a great knife. Over the years, I have gone and carried one-handed folders, ranging from, say, a Spyderco Delica to a couple of different Benchmades before they went full anti-gun. You know, I have a mini Griptilian, I've got a Griptilian, love the Axis lock. You know, I even carried, I had an old Explorer brand, one that looked like a mini Buck 110. But I keep coming back to the Swiss Army knives, and the knife that I've been carrying lately is this one, which is not an actual Swiss Army knife. This is a Boker Tech tool, and this has a lot of features of a Swiss Army knife, but it's also got a pocket clip on it, which I like, because what I was finding was the knives were actually starting to wear holes in the pockets of my pants, and by having the clip and holding it up there, I don't get that. But this one, it's got this kind of a blade drop. It's I guess I would call that a drop point. Here, works better if I hold it in front of my blue shirt. So it's got that. It's got the, there, that's a good spot. It's got the screwdriver blade, bottle cap opener, wire stripper on it. And then instead of the can opener, it has this rescue blade, which is, let's see, it's got a screwdriver tip on it, and then it's got that serrated edge, and the idea is you could use this for maybe cutting a seatbelt or in a car accident, something like that. And then the last tool that it's got is a number 2 Phillips that sticks out the bottom, and you can use it like that, you know, to work on screws. But, oh, and then the final thing that it's got actually on it, there's if you look right there on the end, is, it's a hardened point, it's a glass breaker, help you, you know, punch through this, you know, the window glass on a car. But, you know, it's just a really handy little tool. And, you know, going back to why carry this? You know, you got toolkits, you know, you can carry it in your laptop bag, you can carry it in a tool chest, you know, you got a whole toolkit in your house. It's a lot handier to have it on you, and it just, you know, goes along with the whole thing of being a tool user, being prepared. You might be somewhere where you need to do something you don't actually have access. You know, like if you're out going to a restaurant or whatever, and you need to cut something or fix something at, you know, on your car, and for whatever reason your regular toolkit is inaccessible. If you need to pop open a window to help get somebody out of a wreck, that's another thing. It's just, it's all about being prepared, and it's about making sure that you're able to face different challenges that you meet here in a technological society. And to me, that's really valuable. You know, once again, you know, going back to the example of working in corporate America in an office, and you know, you got to open a package, or you know, tinkering with something because it's not working quite right. And I get people looking at me like, well, why are you carrying a knife? As I'm using it and demonstrating it, you know, why a knife is valuable. And it does show that, I think, you know, going back to what I was talking about originally, you know, the whole Eloy versus Morlocks, or you know, really the time traveler. You know, you don't want to be a Morlock, but you also don't want to be an Eloy. You don't want to be some sort of defenseless sheep, and you don't want to be you know, helpless sheep. You know, not necessarily that you need to defend yourself against something, but you are impacted in one way or another by things around around you in your environment, and your ability to influence the environment around you is limited because you're lacking tools. And so, to me, the most basic tool to carry is a pocket knife. In my case, preferably something like a Swiss Army knife or one of these Pocketknife tools. But even if you're just carrying a regular old plain slip joint knife, it gives you a leg up. And also, because I did mention it earlier in the video, the slip joint knives or non-locking knives versus locking knives. My first knife was a slip joint knife. Is it more possible to cut yourself with that than with a lock blade? Yes. However, that's generally, the only time that I've ever really run into that kind of a problem is when I was doing something really stupid. And if you are using a knife as a knife and you are cutting with it, not trying to use it as a pry bar, not trying to use the knife blade as a screwdriver, the odds of you cutting yourself because you are using a slip joint versus a locking blade are frankly very small. And yeah, that's my opinion, but it's based on carrying pocket knives for the last 40 years. So that's that. Tell me what you think. Put something in the comments. Hopefully you liked this. If you did, please hit like, please hit subscribe, and share the video. Thanks for watching. See you again next time.